Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another new choke combination to try out. A lot of you guys have been wanting to see it recently, so I had to pick one up to see what it could do, and I'm honestly surprised I haven't already tested one of these chokes in this setup, but hey, we finally got one, so we're going to find out how good it actually is. But first up, for the shells we've got today, I brought out some of these, the Winchester Longbeard TSS loads, but these ones are the 410 3-inch 13/16 ounce payload of TSS 9s, moving about 1100 feet per second. These are a new shell to the market for this spring, and so far they've been a pretty solid performer. I don't think they're quite as good as a couple of the other shells that we've tested, and I do think for an off the store shelf load, the herder shells are still a little bit better than these, but I know you can get some pretty good deals on these right now as well. I've seen them as low as like $25 a box a couple places, but generally $30 to $35 is about what you're looking at here. So we know these are some decent performing shells, but what can they do through today's choke combination? So as for that setup we've got today, I brought out my Mossberg 500 410. It's got a 24-inch barrel on it, but for that new choke, we've got a Patternmaster Code Black Turkey. It's a 381 constriction, so maybe a little bit on the tighter side for 410, but still not overly tight or anything like that. But this will be the first Patternmaster we've tested in a 410, and I've seen a ton of good results with this before from other people's testing, so I expect this combination to give us a pretty solid looking pattern. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how the Winchester Longbeard TSS loads can perform through this Patternmaster Code Black Turkey 381. I expect it to be pretty decent, but let's take our shot and see what kind of results we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1227 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1100, so that is moving a little bit quick for their claim. But if I'm remembering correctly, we typically have been seeing 1170s, 1180s out of these shells through that Mossberg. So 1220s isn't out of the realm of reality. Maybe it could have been a little bit of an error, but that's probably correct. So a little bit quicker than their claim up here, but what kind of a pattern did they give us down there at 40 yards through that Patternmaster 381? Let's go check it out and see what we got. All right, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we have a pretty decent pattern on our hands here. We absolutely have a dead turkey all day long, several through the brain and several more down through the spine. So yeah, you would have absolutely gotten that turkey. Now, initially, looking at the pattern as a whole, this is not the best pattern we've gotten from these Longbeard TSS shells. It's not terrible by any means. It would absolutely be a 40-yard capable 410 pattern any day of the week for you, but it is a little bit on the splotchy side with a number of little stringy stuff around the edges and stuff like that. So moving in here and looking at our core, we have a ton of pellets right through there around that bird's head. So yeah, there's nowhere that he's going to go to and get away from you right there. Now right behind his head, there's a good noticeable void there, and the core does thin out a little bit over here to the bottom right corner of that 10-inch circle. So it's not the most even core ever, but there's more than enough pellets in there to get the job done. It does give you a little bit of leeway to work with, so you're looking good there. But around the edges, we definitely start getting noticeably splotchy and a little bit on the sporadic side. You have quite a bit more pellets that favored over here to the left than the right, even though our core was pretty well centered up right there. Around the outskirt edges, we definitely have a few flyers up there at the top, a few little strings around there and stuff, a few more flyers down towards the bottom. So it is a little bit on the splotchy side. It's definitely not perfect by any means, but it's not a terrible pattern either. I would say this is pretty middle of the road performance when it comes to both a good quality 410 TSS load, and it's pretty middle of the road for these Longbeard TSS shells. We've seen better, we've seen a little worse out of them, but I was honestly expecting to see a little bit more even of a pattern through that Patternmaster choke. So far, it seems like these might prefer the little bit tighter constrictions. They did pretty well through my stock 380 extra full choke, but who knows, maybe we need to go the opposite direction now and try something closer to a 390 constriction and see what they do there. Either way, it's not a terrible pattern. It's absolutely usable to 40 yards all day long. If this is what I had to hunt with, yeah, absolutely. I would be confident in it to 40 all day long, but I still think we can refine these a little bit more. Now, is it maybe a specific choke combination or a specific constriction that they like best? I don't know. Maybe it's just these shells in general. They are some solid performers, but they have been giving us a little bit of splotchiness and a few voids and stuff in our patterns as of recently when we tested them, so I don't know. So far, I think I still prefer the Herders TSS shells, which are also made by Winchester. I think they give you a little bit more even of a pattern, but I don't know. Maybe we should try the two of them side by side and see what they look like. Maybe we should run these through a more open choke and see what happens. But at the end of the day, although this might not be the perfect 410 pattern, it is still more than usable enough at 40 yards all day long. It's not a terrible result at all, but I still think there's a little bit of a potential that we might be able to find a slight bit better choke combination for them. And here's the wad from that shell. Very standard looking stuff for a 410, but this one looks a little bit strange. It's kind of twisted like an airplane propeller. Each one of these pedals has a very noticeable twist to them. There's nothing stuck down in there, and it doesn't look like we snagged on anything because there's no porting or anything in that choke to get caught up on, but definitely a little bit interesting looking, and who knows, maybe this could have been spinning a little bit as it left the end of the barrel. It shouldn't have been anything significant, but definitely a little bit interesting looking how it's twisted like that. Alright, well, what did y'all think about that pattern right there? Like we've already said, it's a solid 410 turkey pattern. It's far from the worst we've seen. I mean, that is a very usable 40-yard turkey pattern. It's gonna get the job done for you just fine, but it's not perfect either. It's a little bit splotchy. There are a few voids to deal with, and there's a little bit of stringy stuff around the edges, so it's definitely not perfect. We've seen better from these shells previously, so we know they're capable of better, so I'm a little bit surprised that we didn't see a little more even of a spread through that Patternmaster, but that's why you always test as many different combinations as you can, because sometimes the higher end or more expensive chokes are not always going to be the best performers with every shell. So now I think we need to kind of go the opposite way in constriction. We've tried them through everything from a 380 to a 385 with a few chokes in between. Maybe now we go to a 390, or I've got that 391 standard flush full choke for that gun as well. We can try them through. Maybe they prefer a little bit more open constriction to even our pattern up a little bit. I don't know, but I guess leave all your thoughts down in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these new Winchester Longbeard TSS 410 shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Would you hunt with that pattern the way it is, or would you prefer to see it a little bit more refined than that? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those Longbeard TSS loads or that Patternmaster 381 choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.